Are you into MMA at all? I can't remember.
Yeah, so I wasn't, but so I started taking jiu-jitsu, and I started really learning jiu-jitsu, and so like I would be blue belt by now if it wasn't for this COVID shit. Because one of my buddies, he's still training over there, and we started together, and he's a blue belt now, and we always go at it together. And so they promoted him, but I stopped going because of this whole COVID shit. Yeah, they still open it because Houston don't think it's a thing. But
yeah, but, that seems like a great way to get COVID.
Right, and as I'm like
amongst the best.
One of my professors was on Instagram, and one of my comments was like, "Hey man, we miss you, man. When you coming back?" I'm like, "Y'all are wild."
It's got to be second only to like volunteer CPR test dummy.
Yeah, I was like literally sex. That is the only better way.
Yeah. Everybody line up. Bob here's gonna be our victim.
It's fake, but
it's funny, guy.
But when I first started taking jiu-jitsu, just off the whim, because I was tired of just working out regularly, like I was running and I was lifting weights, and so I hit the dude that just got promoted. I hit him. I was like, he's like really into workouts. I was like, yo, let's do something else, or like give me something else. Like, what are you into? He was like, come with me to jiu-jitsu class. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm not doing no kung fu shit, man. What the fuck is this? But I was like, fuck it, bro, let's go.
Kung fu? No, it's way gay.
I had no idea. This is just me. I heard jiu-jitsu, and I think all the tropes and
weren't you surprised until you got into missionary position? But carry on.
Right. Well, yeah. So what drew me was I was there at this time. I'm 230, right? Right now I'm 220. But at this time I'm like 240 actually. I'm like 240, and I'm grappling. They just threw you in the fire. They're like, grapple. Like they taught me very little at first. They was like, you're an athlete, you'll pick it up. I went to a sparring class at first, and I got tapped out by a fucking 16-year-old. And he was like 140. And I tapped. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, I should be whooping this little dude ass. And he tapped me out. And like a lot of that deters people from jiu-jitsu. For me, I was like, give me more, because this shouldn't happen. And how was he able to do this? And I wanted to be like, before I was like, yo, I could fight. You know, I could hold my own in a street fight or whatever. But if I meet somebody who understands this, I have no chance. Like if we go to the ground, I have no chance. I
bet you beat that 16-year-old if you add striking.
If you add striking,
just because you're you.
Maybe though.
Oh,
maybe.
100%.
Like, who knows? Who knows? Like I'll whiff on a punch, and he tackles me, and we're on the ground now. And that was the beautiful thing that I learned about jiu-jitsu. Is I read a quote from somebody who practiced jiu-jitsu, and they said, in jiu-jitsu, the ground is the ocean, and not everybody knows how to swim. And that shit is the truth. And I didn't understand it until I really started learning the art of it. And then that took me back to answer your question, Kyle. Like it took me back to understanding the history of jiu-jitsu, like where it started from, how it stemmed, and then the introduction to MMA and the Gracies. Like I learned the whole history of the shit, and it just blew my mind. And so like I used to look at MMA as like barbaric. I was like, I don't want to watch that shit. Like boxing was as far as I got, like for a blood sport. But when I learned jiu-jitsu and I started getting into MMA, I was like, you could see the art form rather than just the gore. Like you could see different styles match with the Muay Thai versus the jiu-jitsu, and then the boxing and the wrestling and all that shit mixed together. And it was like, it's a beautiful art form where I didn't really respect it before because I didn't understand it.
Yeah, and then there's guys who just seemingly don't give a fuck, like Nate Diaz. It's like, oh, you are good at boxing, huh? Keep it up.
Yeah, for sure.
You're getting tired, aren't you?
I like the heart of it too, right? Like a guy can lose a fight and gain your respect if he just, if there's a lack of quit in him, if there's a drive, if there's a, like Tommy Toehold did this great description of the Nate Diaz Cowboy Cerrone fight. If you haven't seen it, oh my gosh. So these guys both came into the fight thinking they were going to win. And I haven't described that well enough just then. They both came in thinking it was insane that the other guy thought they were going to win. And they're both kind of chip on their shoulder alpha dudes. And, they're flipping each other off and they're cursing, and they hated each other. 2 rounds into it, it is not going well for Cowboy Cerrone. Cowboy Cerrone is just getting wrecked. And these are elite athletes, some of the greatest fighters in the world. And Nate Diaz, after the second round before the third, flips the bird at Cowboy. And Cowboy's like, yeah, you're right. And then Cowboy goes out there for the third round and gives it his all, and he just takes another round of punishment, and Nate Diaz wins by decision. Cool. But you have to finish that thinking, oh my God, 1% of the people on this earth would go out there for that third round. Because fuck this, it's obviously not his day, but he's going to call it what you will, face the music, try his best, give it his all. He's going to do it. And he did. And he didn't.
Zero chance.
He was cooked, right? Some days it's not your day. And he went out there and he showed his heart. And, well, I still fuss at Cowboys sometimes. You know, I have to respect that performance. You have to. So there's the style and the art and the technique to it. And then there's a certain will that fighting requires in a way that I feel like baseball doesn't.
Oh, definitely not.
Definitely not baseball. Yeah,
I picked that one on purpose, or I could have used curling.
There's a lot of chilling in baseball.
I changed my homie a little bit. I'm gonna take the week off. All right, Bob, cool.
Right?
Really? Are you sure you want to miss 10 games?
I've got Nintendo thumb. A little.
What is it, like $500-600 a year? I'll be all right.
Yeah.